I mean, like, what I want you to do is to think it through, to find yourself in a way of that you whole generations or whole people could understand. So it's quite interesting because I speak in an abstract way of thinking, right? Because that's why I choose to speak in English because it's quite universal now, and I think it's interesting how well English language it's universal and well I think it's well in Indonesia I think we are just like being in the cultural transitions of this American way of living, and the thing about it it's we're not get used to it yet. We're not get used to it yet. Probably in Asia, and I think the thing about the society, because I think I write this horror movie, and I think it's harrowing me in some ways. Well, I think I'm never be a believer in horror, in such a matter of ghost, because the thing about Indonesian people, they do believe in that stuffs, right? They do believe in what we might sort called of a certain in terms of physicality, probably it's not. It's about mental ways of seeing things. It's evil, right? So they imagine something that are just like this horrific manner, well, which is very much I think embedded in my idea. Because the thing about my idea is the thing that you should understand about my idea is it's really a horror about how we lived in some ways because it's culture problem in some ways it's a culture problem which you I think I might say that you should think, because the thing about culture is quite the thing that you can't even understand, because the thing about culture it's outside of the world, right? It's like this just like knowledge, probably I might say that knowledge, but I think it's might really it's about this father figure which is that has just like get advanced, man. Well, what does it mean get advanced? Well, it means that it was get advanced in sort of like technology, man. Technology is I think I might say technology itself it's a father figure. Wow, how interesting is that? Because the thing is it's probably that well technology can like replace that father figure in some ways, well because well you must see my last video if you want to understand my background, because I think probably if you just like looking at this like a bias thing, well, probably yes, probably it's a bias thing, and it's probably the thing that you don't even like see that in ways that was somewhat true, because well, I love this. All right, I will jump to another movie, which is a Truman Show, which is I love this movie so much, and ways it's translated in some ways now. Well, how true is that now? How true is that now? Really, I mean, how true is that now? That Truman Show is really coming true. It's like looking someone what somewhat in a mirror. So it's this. Well, if I might tell you a premise or a synopsis or logline, it's about this man who really are, you know, I think they're just he's been the victim of the reflections of the world, well, which is televisions, right? But it's just like shows up his life. Well, what it shows up his life, it's ways, I think it's true, because the thing is, well, you see that every day in YouTube in some ways. Well, it's very much genius work by I forget the name. Yeah, I forgot the director's name, but I really remember Jim Carrey played it, and I forgot who who did. Yeah, there's I forgot that about that. And the thing about it, it's quite interesting because how smart it is and how well it is how clear that movie represents in some ways. Because the thing about movies is it represents somewhat are just like that situations that might come up. Well, I think it's just like it's 1980, 19, no, no, Truman shows 1990 what? I forgot. Probably 1990 something. 99, 1990s, I think. 90s, I think it's in 90s. Probably, I forgot. Which is very much interesting because the thing is, it's very much true, man. It's very much true. And I'm like just this crazy man who just like speak to the camera, and it's like I'm not crazy. I'm not. The world turn to crazy. Well, what is crazy means it is psychological ways of thinking in some ways, because it's not really about society anymore, man. It's not really about society anymore. It's really about the psychic itself. It's about psychology itself, because they're dealing with themselves. They're dealing with the personalizations of, well, internet. Basically, it's really personal. It's not really about this community big. It's about this personal ways of telling things, right? So what about that? What about that is, well, the thing about doing things, about making things clear in some way. It's very much. I can't even like draw attention onto something that are more important than that in some ways. Because the thing about it, it's about these delusions that I might project myself, right? I might project myself blinded by my perceptions, but I think I open up. It's quite these delusions of self. What is delusions of self is somewhat you see yourself in the mirror that you don't even like see, right? You don't even like see it as something that you can't even believe, right? So what is new age thinker? Well, not new age thinker. Well, what is ourself in somewhat way? Well, I think I break the routine now. Well, I think it's just like this way of story. It's not really storytelling, but it's nature of society itself. It's almost broken down somewhat to somewhat degree. It's broken down. The nature, I'm talking about the nature, right? Well, which is very much probably is literally, because the thing about it is, well, now our nature is just like this blocked off to somewhat degree, just like this change in nature in somewhat degree, it's global warming somewhat degree, but it's not really about that. It's about what we do for that, right? What we do for that. What would we do for that? Well, probably fix it, man. Well, how to fix it? Well, to come realizations of the psychological of the personality, the personality of the people itself. So what does it mean? It means that you have to change. It's if you want to change the world you have to start. You have to start it with you. You have to start it with you. You can't even like imagine on how I can do that to myself about making it not true. Well, what is you? That's the problem, right? because you is very much interesting idea, because you probably you just like a robot, right? A robot. What is robot means? It means that you just like someone that are just being sad to on, right? Probably it's like that, but it's not really that. It's about the point. I think you have to realize that it's not that. It's not really that. It's not really the point. It's just the distractions itself, right? So it's not really the point of things. It's the point of things is basically it's just like this way of seeing things, the way that we can get there. We can get there, whatever that might be like, right? It's probably embedded in nature of revenge, or well, not revenge. It's greed, probably, in ways that you can't ever, whatever you can reach there, anything you can reach on. Well, probably the thing is, yes, probably you can reach anything, but are you want to? Do you want to? I want to. Do you want to? Do you want to reach something that are just like reaching something that are just like are not real? You know what I mean? It's like probably, you know, people at a somewhat degree, it's they always want something bigger than themselves. That's the thing, right? They want something bigger than themselves. So what does it mean? They want to grow. They really want to grow. But the thing about it, they don't channel it in the right way of learning things, because the thing about culture is that, man. Culture is that. Really, really that. Because the thing about culture now, it's quite interesting thing, right? Culture is just that, and it's right in your home to somewhat degree, which is internet, man. Internet. So what do we do that? Well, we probably turn into nature, a father nature, which is, well, it's very much interesting because it's quite wild thought, but I think I'm quite like that. I think I'm a father figure who believes in things that, well, I think I sort of like a father figure in my home in some ways to teach my sister, and to be that strong in some way. Well, to be that rock, strong, to have that thought to confront things, because the thing about truth is it's not outside of the world, it's inside. So what does it mean inside? Means that you have to study outside. Of course you have to study outside, but what terms that you have to study on, the what are the things that you have to study on? It's not really about the, well, it's not really about the book that you read, it's not about the people that you met, it's about something that you are interpreted in that experience in ways. You have to believe that you are blind, man. You have to believe that you are blind. Because the thing is, if you're blind, really, really blind, you can't even like this. You're just like looking at blurred things, right? Well, actually, what the thing is now, I thought I thought myself that I was like this man who just like blur, man, who just, well, not blur, well, I'm the man who thinks that I'm just like, I don't know if yes, wait, yeah, wait a second, recording things. Okay. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you have to think it right truly, it's you have to think that you have to maintain, and you have to think that you have to reinvent in some way, and you have to think that as you yourself is responsible as for you might be, what that might seem to have that in terms of looking at the way of the world, right? I believe that fiction is more true than non-fiction. So what does it mean? Well, it's not really about that though. Well, I think both of them probably is somewhat degree tells the truth, but somewhat the fiction, non-fiction itself, it's speak in what degree are just I don't know, man. It's not really about everything, because the thing about nonfiction is really categorizing. So what does it mean categorizing is nonfictions, for example, you like some subject other than another subject. For example, you are in like high school, or you're in a middle school, or whatever, when you're in school, you just prefer one another from another. Well, you prefer something from another. Well, you choose something. That's the thing about it. Well, not choose actually. You just like narrow it down to somewhat what you like and what you aren't. Well, that's probably nature, right? Nature perspective to slow it down to that point, which you have to choose this. But the thing about it, it's not really about that. It's about the point that we have to lay it on to bigger than yourself. So what is bigger than yourself then? What's the point of it? Well, the point of it is it's not really a quiet degree of non-fiction, because non-fiction is very much if you're lost in thoughts in some ways, you just like read it as somewhat frustrated, right? Because the thing about it is human is not well. The thing is we want majority, right? We want someone that we can well, we agree on, like somewhat that are truth. Well, what is truth? Well, basically it's simply decided among the all of the people in the world, right? So that's very much what truth is. And well, what is truth? Well, it's what I think might people might think on, right? So if you want to be succeed, don't read non-fiction only. Read fiction. Yeah, I think it might be like that. It might be like that because the thing is nowadays it's just like this. Well, our industry, it's not really quite what you thought it would be, right? From reading non-fiction, because the thing it's somewhat fiction world, it's somewhat fantasy in your head in ways, but it's not really, because the thing is it's already been done before, and it's leading to somewhere that you aren't thought that you can't even thought it would be. Well, what's the thing about that? The thing about that, it's somewhat in a higher degree is to think that you yourself is somewhat bigger. Well, what's bigger? It's you can't even feel like what is what is what is home, right? So what is home now? Well, what is home for yourself in somewhat degree? It might be absurd idea. It might be absurd. It might be interesting idea. But the thing about it, it's the truth that I see. And for as I'm concerned, for as much as I'm concerned, I read fiction, non-fiction, which is very interesting because I read philosophy, but well, it's not really about the in depth of the idea itself, but I read almost like overall of the in depth of the philosophy itself. So I read Bible, which is very much my belief. I think. Well, the interesting thing about Bible, well, I won't say that it's a miracle. Well, it's quite a miracle because the thing about miracle is somewhat degree. It's really subjective, right? Because I have this almost like this novelty feelings, which is well, probably you felt onto that. Well, I think the positive sides of the society itself. It's nowadays. I think we have something to lift on. Some well, what is left on is it's like picking something from the store, picking something from the store. So what does it mean picking something from the store? It means that you are just like you have to choose between that store because we are in a democratic society. You don't have to grab it all. You know what I mean? You don't have to grab it all. You just have to choose which are your goal in somewhat degree, or your ways of thinking, or your structure in some ways. I did I did study something. I'm not really a smart person. I think I'm quite mediocre. I think I'm probably not smart and not stupid, but I think I saw myself as somewhat degree. Sometimes I went through arrogance, and which I think it can lead you to be like this somewhat degree you're bigger than yourself. Well, what is bigger than yourself? It means that well, it's not. It's different meaning, but it's different meaning bigger than yourself than what had said previously. It's somewhat different because the thing is now bigger than yourself in terms of logically and to see yourself as a delusion selves of things, right? Because the thing about it is you wonder where the capacity go, where the heart speaks when the mind's just flowing. I think that's the truth in it. Heart speaks, mind flowing, and I think that's really about the society now. And I think that's what you had to do. Well, you just like you have to constrict it. I think that's the best thing of well possible. You have to sit, man. You have to sit and don't look at the things on your camera in some ways because you have a lot of friends that are unknown in somewhat degree because the thing about is YouTube is your phone is unknown. It is unknown. It is unknown even how you personalize it as well as possible. It is still unknown. It is still unknown to somewhat degree. Be friend with the unknown. Well, that's the best way I could ever possibly imagine on. But it's not really be friend with the unknown because the unknown is a dangerous thing, and you don't have to. You can't even like be friend with it, you know, because they will kill you. Well, what does it mean kill you? It means like kill your soul in somewhat degree. It's not really about physical, you know. It's about mental. It's about killing your soul. You know. I think about mental. It's in somewhat degree. It's well, I want to be a psychologist, but I failed in somewhat degree. I failed becoming a psychologist when I was just like 11 years old, and once told me, and one girl told me it's like my friend actually. She told me that I need. I think you're the one who needs a psychology. I think which is true, and I think it's not really like the thing that I should be amazed on because the thing about it is the fact that it's probably true that I need someone that can that I can talk to, and in somewhat degree, you know, making like the thing that I should put onto, which ways are just like embedded on the nature of the site itself in quite degree. Wait, yeah. 5 minutes. Alright, so I have to wrap it up, and I think the thing is about. I think it's just like the start, right? I might say I'm not. I think I want to wrap it up. I think it's just like the start of thinking things, and I think it's quite interesting how I do. Bentar ta, kenapa sih? Bentar, bentar ya. Okay, so what does it mean is okay. I will. All right, I'm not done, so that's I'm not done. All right, so probably that's for today. Probably, I might say it's for. I've lost thought in my mind. It's really interesting. And for some of you who are just like, are probably, I will do this. I think I'm quite increasing my routine on how. I think I'm increasing my routine on speaking to YouTube, and it's going to be often. I think to speak on YouTube because the people it was it's really enjoy. I really enjoyed talking my ideas throughout my ideas and my knowledge in some way because I read some stuff still. I think what I get from knowledge is probably the best thing that I would say because it's not really knowledge itself, so it's really my perceptions of things. So it's perceptions of things, my ideas probably that might get into your that might think that you are that it's quite true because yeah. So that's it, everyone, and thank you for watching. Click subscribe. Well, click like and click subscribe if you want to stay tuned to my another video, which is I'll be updated soon. And thank you very much.